Tonight, recession fears send global markets tumbling. What it all means for your wallet and the race for the White House. Plus,
we are prepared very strongly in defense, on land and in the air.
Israel braces for an imminent attack from Iran. Why experts say it could trigger a regional war. And
something has shifted in the last 6 months. And it feels almost like it's a rising river.
The sound of revival in the United Kingdom. How the presence of God is sweeping the nation. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation. Global markets fell sharply today over fears of a U.S. recession. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Faith Nation. From CBN's headquarters in Virginia Beach, I'm Wendy Griffith. Well, we begin with the growing concerns that the economy could be sliding into a recession or a slowdown. The stock market reflecting those fears. The Dow taking another major hit today, dropping 1,100 points. Investors pulling money out of the market amid signals the economy is getting weaker. Friday's disappointing July jobs report triggered the global market meltdown. And it's not just stocks, the bond market also reflecting fears of a slowdown, along with the expectation that the Federal Reserve may move to cut interest rates sooner than expected to help strengthen the economy. No one knows for sure how things are going to shake out, and that uncertainty is leading investors to be cautious. Let's bring in Mark Hamrick, Washington Bureau Chief and Senior Economic Analyst at Bankrate. Mark, welcome back. It seems the concerns over a recession intensified greatly since Friday's job report. Is this reaction justified?
Good to see you, Wendy, during these challenging times, at least for investors. And something different happened over the weekend, and that is a big sell-off in Japan, a historic sell-off. And there are some ripple effects that have been seen in our own financial markets, prompting investors to engage in a so-called risk-off trade. Really, that means they're just trying to take some money off the table, out of the market. And it remains to be seen whether this is something that's more serious than what might otherwise appear. We should note it's not going to be discussed at the dinner table tonight, but there was some very encouraging U.S. economic news released today from the nation's supply manager, saying the nation's services sector expanded most recently, and the employment component of this largest part of the U.S. economy improved over the previous month. So, we'll see whether the sell-off is overdone. We'll have a lot more economic data to wade through. Right now, it feels a little bit more like a market event than it feels like an economic event.
Mark, do you see any other signals indicating a possible recession or slowdown?
The quick answer is no. We've had plenty of anecdotal evidence from corporate executives who talked about whether it's a company like Wayfair that sells furniture and other household items, whether it's McDonald's or Starbucks, that they've said that consumers are buckling under pressure. But that hasn't been borne out in the broader retail sales numbers per se, and economic growth in the current third quarter is projected by the Federal Reserve Banks of Atlanta and New York to really be normal. In fact, better than normal if their forecasts are true, coming in above 2%, which was also the case, better than normal in the most recent second quarter. Things can change rapidly, and that's why we'll continue to watch developments with economic data, including jobless claims data due later this week, inflation data due next week.
What about the Federal Reserve, given this development? How do you expect them to act as it pertains to interest rates?
That's a key question. I'm glad you asked it, Wendy. The expectation is that the Fed will cut interest rates at the September meeting. And the question really becomes whether they cut rates more than previously expected. It had previously been thought that they might reduce by 0.25% in September and perhaps one more time by the end of the year. And now people are betting that the Fed may cut more than that, perhaps as much as 0.5% in September. And it's already being factored into the bond market, as you said in the lead-in, where we're seeing mortgage rates much lower than we had seen just a short time ago. If those rates hold for mortgages, people are going to have an opportunity to refinance. we'll see whether these current levels in the marketplaces hold.
I've overheard a few people in the newsroom say, oh boy, here goes my 401k when you see the Dow drop 1,100 points. But what's your advice to the average consumer that's got a 401k? Is there any reason to panic at this point?
No. The quick answer is no. The major averages are down about 5% over the past 5 days. That feels like a lot in a short amount of time, but those same key averages are up 10, 15% over the past year. And that means that over the past year, you're still doing better. The problem with selling now, particularly for long-term investors, short-term investors too, as far as that goes, is you have to be right twice. You have to be right with the timing as to when to sell now, and you have to be right later on in terms of getting back in, the timing of that. It's almost impossible to do that.
All right.
Slow and steady wins the race for long-term investing.
I'm going to hunker down then. Thank you for that wise advice, Mark Hamrick. We always appreciate your expertise. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, with the economy seen as the #1 election issue for many Americans, attention will be on the campaign trail this week as both Vice President Harris and Donald Trump target key swing states. Harris plans to have her new running mate by her side Tuesday in Philadelphia. CBN Washington correspondent Michelle London has the latest.
We should be just hours away from learning who Vice President Kamala Harris will choose as her VP running mate. This as former President Trump is boosting his campaign ads in certain key battleground states. Speculation over the Harris choice centered on 3 top contenders she spoke with privately in Washington on Sunday. They include Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, and Arizona Senator and former astronaut Mark Kelly. In recent weeks, each have hosted fundraisers and run ads of their own supporting the Harris campaign. Harris's campaign has said the VP choice will join her Tuesday in battleground Pennsylvania, the first of a whirlwind tour of 7 swing states this week. Both presidential candidates also ramping up efforts in Georgia as the race tightens there and other collective swing states.
By doing massive rallies, I really worked hard.
Trump addressing voters at a weekend Georgia rally as Republicans urge him to focus on policy, not race or identity.
So we have to work hard to define her. I don't want to even define her. I just want to say who she is. She's a horror show. She'll destroy our country.
During his stops, Trump is vowing to lower inflation and mortgage rates, cut down on illegal migrants at the U.S.-Mexico border, and keep a strong focus on the American auto industry. Since launching her campaign 2 weeks ago, Harris has clarified her position on a number of issues, like Medicare for all, funding public education, and abortion and reproductive rights. But will the two face off on the debate stage? Trump has since canceled a scheduled September 10th debate on ABC, proposing a debate on Fox News instead. Now, Harris's battleground tour will continue on Wednesday in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, followed by stops in Michigan and North Carolina on Thursday. Meanwhile, Trump's next rally is set for Friday in Montana.
Thank you so much, Michelle. Well, joining us now to talk about the potential VP choice, plus how today's economic news could impact the Harris campaign, is Dr. Mark Caleb Smith, director of the Center for Political Studies at Cedarville University. Dr. Smith, welcome back. Both candidates have already begun to blame the other for any bad economic news. What do you think each candidate needs to do to convince voters of their plan to improve the economy?
Well, I think I would probably challenge the premise of your question that really that policy matters. I'm not sure that policy matters all that much in this contest. Surely they're going to talk about the economy. They're going to talk about their plans for what they might do. But voters have increasingly, I think, made it clear to us over the past 4 to 8 years, policy just isn't what's driving most of their decision making. This is also a little bit different in this contest because technically there's no incumbent. We could argue that Kamala Harris would be considered an incumbent of a kind, but in some ways she's a new factor. And it's unclear to me how voters would process her role in creating this economy. And so I think surely this will create a lot of angst, but I'm not necessarily convinced it will cut one way or the other as it relates to voters.
Dr. Smith, as we wait for Harris to name her vice presidential choice, which of the names in the running do you see having the most positive impact and why?
Well, when you think of a possible vice presidential pick, you could think of ideological balancing, you could think of geography, you could think of maybe demographics and think through what the possibilities could be just for expanding your appeal as a presidential candidate. And if we think of all those three things together, I think Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania really checks most of those boxes for Kamala Harris. Pennsylvania is a swing state. As a white man, he would give a little bit of demographic balance to the ticket. He's also known as being relatively moderate and independent. He's very popular amongst those groups of people. And so I think I'll be surprised if it's anyone other than Governor Shapiro.
Yeah, and he would be the first Jewish person in high office, I believe.
Yeah, Jill Lieberman was nominated back by Al Gore, but yeah, they were not successful, of course.
So momentum still seems to be favoring Harris in some of the more recent polling. As Democrats get closer to their convention, how can the Trump-Vance ticket and Republican leaders try to gain some ground?
I think they're still trying to figure out how to attack Vice President Harris. And I think we saw that recently with former President Trump's remarks about her ethnicity and her background. I'm sure they're going to go after policy issues as well. But I still think the Trump campaign is scrambling around ever since Joe Biden really dropped off. I think it's clear they didn't expect that, weren't necessarily prepared for it. And I think that shows up in how they've been conducting themselves the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Dr. Mark Caleb Smith, thanks so much for your analysis today. We always appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
Well, coming up, Israel and Iran inch closer to all-out war. The latest on tensions in the Middle East when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. The White House believes Iran and Hezbollah could launch a direct attack on Israel as early as tonight. While Biden holds high-stakes meetings in Washington, the head of the U.S. Central Command is in the region to help defend the Jewish state. Security officials expect a bigger attack than April 13th, when Iran fired 350 projectiles on the Jewish state. So far, Tehran has rejected diplomatic efforts to de-escalate tensions, instead vowing to avenge the deaths of Hamas political leader Ismail Haniyeh and Hezbollah commander Fuad Shukr. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says Israel is already in a multi-front war with Iran.
Their visible aggression is insatiable, but Israel is not helpless. We're determined to stand against them on every front, in every arena, far and near. Anyone who murders our citizens, anyone who harms our country will be held accountable. He will pay a very heavy price.
Meanwhile, Israel is keeping the pressure on Hamas in Gaza, where talks to secure a ceasefire and hostage deal are still at a standstill. And new details on the UN's internal probe on the October 7th attacks. Today, the organization fired 9 staff members it believes may have been involved in that massacre. Well, here in the U.S., Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin has revoked a plea deal for 3 of the 9/11 plotters held at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. The deal would have allowed Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 2 others to serve life in prison for pleading guilty to the murders of nearly 3,000 people on September 11th, 2001. In a memo, Austin told the retired general who approved the agreement that he's taking over responsibility for the case. Well, turning now to the tropical storm wreaking havoc on Florida, Debbie's high winds and catastrophic flooding have already killed at least 4 people. South Carolina and Georgia brace for impact. One emergency management official called Debbie a potentially generational storm. CBN's Dale Hurd reports.
Debbie making landfall on Florida's Big Bend coast this morning as a Category 1 hurricane. The major fear is not so much her winds, but the possibility for huge amounts of rain, along with a storm surge of potentially 6 to 10 feet. Those living in low-lying areas have been urged to evacuate.
And now we've got 4 to 6 inches coming, and I'm just not sure where it's going to go.
I have a low-lying bedroom, and when it gets heavy rain, it comes underneath the door.
Debbie is expected to move slowly across Florida, dropping up to a foot of rain. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has declared a state of emergency activating as many as 3,000 Florida National Guard troops to help during the storm.
There may be immediate impacts that you see, but you could also see flooding that happens days afterwards.
The National Hurricane Center expects Debbie to reach Georgia by tonight and then South Carolina. Both are already under states of emergency, facing anywhere from 10 to 30 inches of rainfall by the end of the week.
If so, that will be a generational storm that we've not seen. They're calling it a 500 to 1,000-year storm.
Emergency managers in New England and New York are also monitoring the path of the storm, with ground already saturated from heavy rain and thunderstorms in recent weeks. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Thanks, Dale. Up next, the revival sweeping the UK when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. Reports of revival spreading across the United Kingdom. The movement is marked by an increase in prayer as well as an increase in the number of healings. As one pastor told me, the tangible presence of God is spreading across his nation.
When God is here, the impossible becomes possible.
Something has shifted in the last 6 months. And it feels almost like it's a rising river.
Pastor Craig Cooney of Hope Church in Northern Ireland believes the spiritual drought brought on by the pandemic is over.
Between 20 and 2023, I found myself often saying that I've never seen the church at such a low ebb. That it just felt like we were going through the motions post-COVID. It was just a lack of zeal, a lack of passion, a lack of enthusiasm, a lack of growth. Something shifted around the start of this year, I would say. And it's difficult to describe or define.
Cooney, who also reaches more than 100,000 people on Instagram, says the most noticeable change is a tangible presence of God, as well as an increase in the number of healings.
There's this sense of God is in the room. That has been birthed out of and has probably birthed prayer, an increase in prayer. We have seen that in our own church. About 20% of our church now come to our weekly prayer meeting. It's at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday. It's not a convenient time, but it's just an hour of solid intercession. And there's just people crying out for the lost, people crying out for their families. And every single week, we are getting testimonies of healing from people who might not even 6 months ago believed in divine healing. It's the people who, when they say they're healed, you know they're healed because they wouldn't be making this stuff up.
Reverend Liz Doyle, founder and director of She Leads America, just returned from England, where she prayed with a group inside Windsor Castle.
And as we were in St. George's Chapel praying, I felt the Lord speak to me and say, I'm going to bring revival into this place. We were there for 3 days and 3 nights with 30 of our British counterparts. Genesis chapter 28 is what the vicar was reading from that day, Jacob's ladder. And right next to us is Queen Elizabeth's grave.
Wow.
And I felt that when he began to read Genesis chapter 28, 13 to 15, if you read it, it'll say, on the ground where you're laid, I'm going to bless the generations. And I felt the Lord was saying, I am going to begin to work in your children's lives, Queen Elizabeth, and they're going to be a blessing to the world.
Doyle and her husband pastored in England for 25 years. And for her, this was a full circle moment. As she felt the Lord saying,
I'm going to bring you back to the land and give you the things I've promised. And we left about 25 years ago. So those two things came together, and I just understood it to be that the Lord was going to move in St. George's Chapel.
Signs of revival are also sprouting in neighboring Scotland. In June, Reverend Franklin Graham brought his God Loves You tour to Glasgow.
It is good to be in Glasgow. Wow.
Where more than 7,000 people turned out, with many giving their lives to Christ.
You see, God loves you. and He's willing to forgive our sins. But we have to come to Him, His way, and that's through the cross of Jesus Christ.
I went up tonight because his family was so powerful in his word that he said, "Say, get up out your seat." I had to get up out my seat. I had to get there. I didn't realise it was going to be 2,000 or 3,000 people behind me. It gives me anxiety. But I didn't care. I'm going to give it to the cross.
For Cooney, this is a season he's waited a long time to see.
I kind of feel like the Lord says you will get what you go after. And there's this sense where I felt him say, go after healing. Go after healing. And so we've gone after that. In the first 5 months of this year, our church has grown by about 30%. 30.
Incredible.
30%. And we have done nothing different.
So are we in a revival then?
I was thinking of Elijah, where he keeps sending the servant back to see if there's rain coming. And he said the 7th time, I see a cloud the size of a man's hand. And I believe what the Lord is saying is, there's a cloud. I'm showing you what's available, and I'm showing you what's possible. And I'm showing you what I would delight to give you. And I'm calling my people to prayer, and I'm calling my people to consecration, and I'm calling my people to a deeper level of commitment. And if you will pursue me, I will come for you.
I trust in God, my Savior, the one.
Wow, may it continue to spread. Well, coming up, a family of multiples raising 6 toddlers at once. That's next on Faith Nation. Finally tonight, a Michigan couple realized their dream of having a big family in just 2 years. Rachel and Jake Schisler gave birth to a set of twins in 2020, followed by quadruplets just 2 years later. And get this, they're all girls. The girls are fraternal, each have very different personalities, something the couple says adds to their wonderful, crazy, but enjoyable life.
God has blessed us so much, and we love this family. We wouldn't ask for anything different. It's not what we envisioned, but it's what He gave us, and we love it, and we wouldn't trade any of it for the world.
Wow, that's a lot. Well, that's going to do it for us. See you tomorrow. God bless.